Hello friends, today we are going to discuss the first misconception about the self, and that is I am the decision maker. Have you ever stopped to think about what drives your decisions? Most of us assume that we are fully in control, that every choice we make is a direct reflection of our conscious desires and rational thoughts. But what if that's not the whole story? Think about the last decision you made. Maybe it was as small as choosing what to eat or as big as switching careers. You probably believe that it was you, your rational mind, your free will, calling the shots. But what if that is not true? The idea that you are the ultimate decision maker feels undeniable. After all, who else could it be? Yet, beneath the surface, hidden forces are at work. Biases you don't notice, emotions you can't control, the neural processes that happen before you are even aware of them. It could be that decisions we believe are consciously ours may actually be influenced by inner hidden forces. In this video, we are going to shatter the illusion of control and unpack why the self, the I you identify with, is not the all-powerful driver of your choices. It's uncomfortable, even unsettling, to question this core belief, but the truth is liberating and deeply insightful. Are you ready to discover who or what is really in charge of your decisions? Let's dive in and challenge everything you thought you knew about yourself. There is no single I taking decisions, but actually there is a decision making committee. Imagine a small village in your head where all your thoughts, emotions, knowledge, and experiences live together. Now, this village has a self proclaimed king named Mr. Me. He wears a crown, sits on a throne, and insists he is in charge of all the decisions. One day, a major decision comes up. What should we eat for dinner? Mr. Me clears his throat and announces, as the king, I shall decide. But in reality, the village council, made up of random members like Craving Carl, Healthy Nut, Budget Bob, and Lazy Larry, starts arguing. Craving Carl, pizza, we need pizza. Extra cheese, please. Healthy Nut, absolutely not. We should have a salad instead. Think of the calories. Budget Bob says, do you all have any idea how expensive pizza is? Let's just have toast. But Lazy Larry says, guys, let's skip dinner and just sleep. As such, dinner is overrated. Mr. Me looks around nervously as the chaos unfolds. After a heated debate, the council reluctantly agrees on ordering pizza, but with a salad on the side to appease Healthy Nut. Once the decision is made, Mr. Me stands up and declares proudly, ah yes, I have decided we will have pizza with a salad and you are all welcome. But here's the twist. Mr. Me didn't actually decide anything. The decision was the result of countless influences: the craving, health concerns, financial limitations, and sheer laziness all played a part. Mr. Me just took the credit. Later, when the pizza arrives cold and soggy, Mr. Me is quick to pass the blame. If it weren't for lazy Larry, we'd have cooked a proper meal, he grumbles, conveniently forgetting his earlier proclamations. Moral of the story: the self often acts like Mr. Me, claiming ownership of decisions that are actually shaped by countless influences: our upbringing, habits, emotions, external circumstances, financial, cultural, social, political conditioning. The process of deciding is more like a chaotic committee meeting than a single sovereign act of will. The self as a decision maker is more an illusion than a reality. It is the thought which is the response of all our conditioning that works, not the thinker. The hidden processes that drive decision making are rooted in a fascinating interplay of biology, psychology, and environmental influences. Here are the key factors at play. First is implicit biases. Deep seated prejudices and preferences, often shaped by culture and past experiences, influence decisions without our awareness. Second, emotions as decision drivers. Gut feelings. Emotional responses tied to past experiences act as a quick guide in decision making. For instance, a pang of anxiety might steer you away from a choice linked to a negative outcome in the past. Is there a mood impact? Studies show that being in a positive mood can make you more optimistic and risk taking, whereas negative emotions may lead you to cautious and conservative decisions. Third, neurological underpinnings. Research shows that the brain is making choices seconds before you consciously become aware of it. We assume that I have chosen, but the brain has already done it. Fourth, social and environmental influences. Priming. Exposure to subtle cues in the environment can nudge decision makings. For example, seeing a picture of healthy food before choosing a meal can lead to healthier choices. Peer pressure. Decisions are often swayed by the need to conform to group norms or societal expectations. Even when we think we are acting independently, social influence can play a significant role. Fifth, the role of habit and routine. Automated behaviors. Many decisions aren't decisions at all, but habits formed through repetition. Once ingrained, they operate on autopilot, bypassing conscious deliberation altogether. Sixth, cultural and evolutionary programming. Evolutionary instincts. Decisions like choosing a mate, avoiding danger, or seeking resources are influenced by evolutionary pressures. These instincts often operate below the surface, guiding us in ways that feel intuitive but are deeply ingrained. Cultural norms. Societal frameworks shape what feels right or natural, steering choices without explicit deliberation. Understanding these processes reveal that decision making is far more complex than it seems. While we like to believe we are in full control, our choices are often the product of unseen forces, our biology, past experiences, and the world around. Recognizing these influences can help us make more mindful, deliberate decisions, bridging the gap between unconscious drives and conscious intentions, not influenced by any outer forces. Implications of living the misconception that I am the decision maker. The misconception that I am the decision maker often leads us to overlook the role of conditioning, our learned behaviors, cultural norms, past experiences, and unconscious biases in shaping our decisions. The danger lies in the subtle but profound influence of this conditioning, which can result in unexamined choices that perpetuate limitations, suffering, or harm. Let's explore this in more depth. Decisions shaped by unconscious patterns. Conditioning creates automatic thought patterns, emotional responses, and habitual behaviors. For instance, cultural conditioning. Growing up in a particular society might instill specific beliefs about success, morality, or happiness. Emotional conditioning. Past trauma or rewarding experiences can make us gravitate towards or avoid certain situations regardless of their present reality. The danger being decisions based on unexamined patterns may reinforce outdated or unhealthy behaviors. Reinforcement of social and structural injustices. Conditioning often aligns with societal structures and norms, some of which perpetuate inequality or prejudice. For example, biases against certain groups may unconsciously guide hiring decisions or interpersonal relationships. The danger being this sustains systematic issues like racism, sexism, and classism, contributing to broader social harm. Erosion of free will. Believing that I am the decision maker creates an illusion of control, making it harder to recognize and question external influences. For example, advertising and social media exploit psychological conditioning to shape consumer behavior and political opinions. The danger here is that people unknowingly surrender their autonomy, becoming susceptible to manipulation. Perpetuation of suffering. Conditioning often binds individuals to narrow perspectives, preventing them from seeing alternative possibilities. For example, someone conditioned to equate self-worth with productivity may overwork themselves, leading to burnout. When we believe we are the sole decision makers, we take pride in our successes and blame ourselves or others for failures. It increases the burden of personal responsibility and the cycle of pride and guilt. It increases the psychological backlog of all the failures which are seen as personal. It saps all your energy and life itself seems like a burden. Believing the self is the decision maker makes us feel we must always get it right, leading to indecision and stress. We are never at peace. The belief that I am in charge of everything creates anxiety and a constant urge to control outcomes. We are not able to see that decisions arise through a complex interplay of forces not in our control. We often judge others harshly for their decisions, assuming they act with their complete free will. We fail to see that people act based on their programming, just as we do. When I see myself as a decision maker, it often leads to over analyzing, leading to missed opportunities or paralyzing fear of failures. The self often creates inner conflict between what it should do versus what it feels compelled to do. The self becomes a battleground of conflicts and loses its harmony. This misconception feeds the ego and increases self importance, creating an aura around which selfishness and self centered thinking arises. It easily leads to corruption and unethical practices, creating a society which is immoral, corrupt, polluted, and having total disregard for the environment. Every decision making process seems like a burden and a reflection of my identity instead of a natural outcome of an interconnected web of influences. Can the understanding that I am not the decision maker transform our lives? This insight can ripple through various aspects of living. Judging yourselves and others becomes less intense because you see behavior and decisions as conditioned responses rather than intentional acts of will. You are kinder to yourself when mistakes happen, seeing them as part of learning rather than personal failures. You respond to others with empathy, understanding that their actions are influenced by their conditioning and circumstances. If a friend forgets an important event, instead of feeling hurt, you understand they may have been overwhelmed or distracted, not deliberately neglectful. In a workplace setting, you become more collaborative, recognizing the team effort rather than claiming sole credit for success. You approach situations with humility, acknowledging that outcomes are not entirely in your hands. Understanding that I am not the decision maker, that actions are not happening from me but through me, can be unsettling. It may seem that life will go out of control. It may induce fear of unknown forces working and compelling you to act. But actually, it paves the way for a more intelligent way of living, one that transcends conditioned responses and allows for greater clarity, freedom, and insight. Let's explore how this transformation happens from a conditioned living to intelligent living. Number 1. Awareness replaces conditioning. When you understand that decisions arise from conditioning, you naturally develop an awareness of these patterns. This awareness allows you to observe and question your conditioned responses rather than acting on them blindly. Living more intelligently means instead of impulsively reacting based on past habits, you pause to see the situation clearly. This pause creates space for fresh, unbiased insights to arise, leading to actions rooted in understanding rather than automatic responses. For example, if someone criticizes you, rather than reacting defensively, which is a conditioned response, you observe the emotional reaction arising within you. This observation dissolves the knee jerk reaction and allows for a thoughtful response, or none at all. Number 2, dissolution of inner conflict. Much of inner conflict arises from the self trying to control or should its way through life. The self, based on its conditioning, evaluates what is happening and creates conflict in what is happening and what should have happened, according to its judgmental thinking. Recognizing that decisions and reactions manifest from conditioned processes dissolves this tension, as you realize that the one who is trying to control is also equally conditioned. How does it change daily living? You stop battling with yourself over right or wrong choices, as you see both of them arising from conditioning, and allow actions to arise naturally from your awareness. There is clarity in awareness, and where there is clarity, there is no confusion. Confusion happens when there is conflict between two opposing influences. You accept emotions and desires without labeling them as good or bad, observing them instead. Number 3, a shift from doership to witnessing. You no longer see yourself as the doer of actions, but as the witness of life unfolding. This shift brings about a profound sense of ease and joy. How does it change daily living? You engage with life's activities fully, but without attachment to the results. Life feels less like a struggle and more like a dance when you are a participant rather than the choreographer. Number 4, moving beyond self-centered thinking. The belief that I am the decision maker reinforces self-centeredness, as actions are often tied to protecting or enhancing the self. Recognizing that decisions are not made by a central self weakens this ego-driven approach. Living more intelligently means decisions become less about what's in it for me and more about what serves the situation or the whole. Actions arise naturally, free from the distortions of the ego, and are therefore more effective and harmonious. For example, if a team project, instead of pushing your ideas to gain recognition, you contribute with openness and collaborate effectively, recognizing the collective effort over individual glory. Number 5, freedom from fear and desire. Conditioning is often rooted in fear and desire. Fear of failure, rejection or pain, and desire for success, approval or pleasure. Understanding that the self is not the decision maker loosens the grip of these drives. Living more intelligently means you approach situations with a calm mind, unclouded by fears or cravings. Decisions are based on clarity and practicality rather than emotional turbulence. For example, when choosing a career path, Instead of being driven by societal expectations or fear of financial instability, you calmly explore what aligns with your natural inclinations and values. Number 6. Embracing uncertainty with openness. The illusion of being the decision maker often creates anxiety about making the right choice. Recognizing that choices emerge from a complex interplay of factors allows you to embrace uncertainty. Living more intelligently means you act without overthinking, trusting the flow of life while remaining alert to adapt as needed. This openness fosters creativity and adaptability in decision making. For example, instead of agonizing over whether to take a job opportunity, you weigh the available information and take the leap, understanding that the outcome is shaped by more than just your decision. Number 7. Living in the present moment. The realization that decisions are not yours shifts focus from over-analyzing the past or worrying about the future to being fully present in the now. Living more intelligently means you respond to situations as they arise with clarity and presence rather than dragging in past biases or future anxieties. This responsiveness leads to decisions that are appropriate to the moment. For example, during a heated argument, instead of rehashing past grievances, you stay present and address the immediate issue with calm and clarity. Number 8. Spontaneity and natural intelligence. When the illusion of control dissolves, life flows naturally and actions arise spontaneously from an innate intelligence rather than preconditioned thinking. Living more intelligently means you trust the intelligence of life itself, acting with fluidity and grace rather than rigidity. This spontaneity leads to authentic and effective actions. For example, while walking in nature, instead of planning your route meticulously, you follow the path that feels most inviting, discovering new beauty and insights along the way. What's the role of attention? True intelligence emerges from attention, not as an effort of the self, but as a state of being fully aware. When attention replaces the egoic self as the guiding force, actions are aligned with truth. Living more intelligently means decisions are not forced or mechanical. They arise effortlessly from the clarity that attention provides. This alignment with truth minimizes conflict and maximizes harmony. For example, when resolving a conflict, you listen deeply to all sides without bias, following a fair and harmonious resolution to emerge. To conclude, living intelligently without the self. Realizing that I am not the decision maker doesn't make life passive, it makes life intelligent. You no longer act out of compulsion or fear, but respond to life with clarity, humility, and presence. Paradoxically, by letting go of control, you discover a deeper order and intelligence guiding your actions. If we are aware collectively and question the assumptions we live by, a profound shift is possible, not only individually, but also as the society. Hello friends, Please share your views about the topic of this video in the comment section below. Thank you and take care.